some tragic news that broke just a few hours ago in the state of Wisconsin. A school shooting that left at least 3 people dead, including who police suspect is a juvenile shooter. 6 others were wounded in the incident that happened at Abundant Life Christian School this morning in Madison, Wisconsin. Madison Police Chief Sean Barnes said officers who responded to a call of an active shooter at the school also found the alleged shooter dead at the scene. The suspected shooter was also a student at the school. Initial police reports said the fatalities included 4 victims plus the shooter, but later they lowered the number of fatalities. It's sad. It's Christmas time, and there are folks who have lost loved ones. What appears to be another senseless shooting. Now, see, this is the kind of stuff that I was talking about. You know, one of the most riveting moments in my life, something that affected me, and I don't cry often, to be quite honest with you. It's just not something that I've done much of in my lifetime. I can count on one hand the amount of times tears have come streaming down my face. And I remember one of those times being when those little kids at Sandy Hook in Connecticut, when Obama was in office, were killed. I think it was like 21 deaths, if I remember correctly. 19 of them were children. And when you heard the descriptions of how the shooter would go one by one and would shoot a 6 or 7-year-old right in front of others their age, with those little kids knowing that they were next, it can't get more heinous than that. And so naturally, stuff like that ultimately ends up getting politicized, and people start talking about gun control or gun laws, and that forces the other side to fight for their Second Amendment rights. And what gets lost in the shuffle are lives lost. Lives lost, and how somehow, some way, human beings who are supposed to have a heart and are supposed to have a soul can't seem to come together for the betterment of the most helpless amongst us, which are children. And when I heard the story about what transpired in Madison, Wisconsin this morning, it's a Catholic school, K-12. We don't know yet the name. I'm sorry, it's a Christian school. I apologize. K-12. We don't know yet the age of the victims at the moment that we're taping this show. K-12, ladies and gentlemen. It could be a 6 or 7-year-old. It could be a 9 or 10-year-old. Lives lost are heinous enough at the hands of somebody who felt like being a murderer. But let's face reality. When it involves kids, it stings us a bit more significantly. And that's the kind of thing that we have to think about. And so, yes, this is a show that tackles all issues. We run from nothing, and we talk about everything. We try to be as informed as we possibly can. If we make mistakes, we own up to it. If we don't have all the facts, all the information necessary, we own up to that as well. But there are some things that you don't need but so much information. When you find out that kids were killed, that's the bottom line. And something has to be done about it. Now, I'm one of those people that I will openly confess, as a registered independent, I'm stuck. On one hand, I want guns off the streets. On another hand, I'm tired of people being killed, and then we turn around and find out that folks were utterly defenseless because they weren't armed. Now, obviously, that's not going to be applicable in a Christian school, K-12. What would teenagers or people that are younger be walking around with firearms for? I get that part, but how the hell did that person have a firearm and get in the school? And why was there no one there to derail that individual? Is anybody in the school armed? We don't know. We don't know the facts of that information as of yet, or that situation as of yet. But those are the kind of things to me that should be debated. Whether or not having a firearm on your person is more helpful or harmful. Those are the kind of things that should be debated. I'm not getting into somebody's rights, because to me, even though rights are important, it pales in comparison to someone's life. Rights are important, but not at the expense of the lives of human beings, particularly the youngest amongst us, who haven't even had an opportunity to really, really live their lives as of yet. And so at least 2 to 3 people have been stripped of their life because of a juvenile shooter who I think it's okay to call a murderer because that person killed innocent people. We don't know the gender of the shooter. We don't know the age of the shooter. We don't know the description of the shooter. We don't know the age or the descriptions or the genders of the victims. We don't know whether there was teachers killed. We don't know whether there was a police officer killed or somebody in security. We don't know all of those details at the time of this taping. That much is true. We don't know those things. And I get that. And I understand it. And we have to find out more. In Sandy Hook, it was 20 children, 6 adults. I'm going to say that again. 20 children were killed. And I remember that being politicized. I remember when President Obama at the time stood at the podium and said the name of each child and wiped a tear from his eye. And you had folks on the right accusing him of being inauthentic and phony. Like, our core decency sometimes escapes us. Because I don't give a damn what your political affiliation is, what your ideology is, what your religion is, etc. When you hear that 20 children were killed in cold blood, it's got to hit you. And anytime I hear about a school shooting, particularly involving K to anything, let alone K to 12, I'm thinking about Sandy Hook. That's what it reminds me of. And I piggyback off of that conversation to get to this point. A point that I was discussing last week. And that was with folks online and other places celebrating the shooting of the United Healthcare CEO, Mr. Thompson. That was disgusting. It was appalling. And I've got people that want to come on this show to talk with me and debate me. Well, bring it on. But be prepared to sit there and on a set sitting across from me with the cameras rolling, justifying murder. Because that, in essence, is what it comes down to. I'm not throwing flowers or acting like the healthcare system isn't an atrocity. That it's right in any way to take advantage of American citizens and beyond. Denying their cases. When they have legitimate health issues, when they paid money into a health care plan and they're denied the treatment that they deserve because of monetary reasons, because of people trying to make a profit. I understand how egregious that is. I get that. I truly, truly do. But at the end of the day, I don't give a shit what the circumstances are. You can never sit down and justify cold-blooded murder. That United Healthcare CEO was shot in the back. Getting out of his car, walking into a hotel, he was gunned down from behind. He was a husband. His wife is now a widower. He was a father. His children are no longer have their father. We got to be careful about the things that we say and the manner in which we're willing to come across as if we're condoning something. We want to say, all right, we're not condoning murder, but, well, wait a minute. Cold-blooded murder, gunning somebody down, taking their life. Really? When we open our mouths and we say stuff like that, it can incite and spark anybody to do the same. Anybody can have a reason. You know what, in the movies I never watched before, ladies and gentlemen? I never watched The Purge. The Purge. All right, 12 hours of lawlessness. You get to kill anybody you want to for 12 hours. Nah. I'm not down for that. That's devoid of civilization. That's devoid of a civilized society. And the decorum and the behavior and the lawfulness that's supposed to come with it. That's not what America is supposed to be about. That's not what any place in this world should be about. Yes, there are people that's taking advantage of us. Yes, there are people that's getting over. But to me, the only excuse to take somebody's life is self-defense. That's it. Under no other circumstances should killing somebody be something that we condone. At some point in time, our core decency has to come into play. It has to matter. And if it doesn't, that really says a lot about who we are and what we're lacking than it says about anybody else.